Hey y'all. Let me turn my heater off. I have this little fireplace heater going and it's a little bit loud. I want to check in with y'all today because I've been noticing a trend that's happening when I watch YouTube videos, and it's been something I've been noticing for the past year, I want to say, but I think it's something that's always been a thing. I feel like it's just more um, visible nowadays because more folks are stepping out and they're able to speak up and talk about why they hate their jobs and more specifically why they hate the lifestyle that comes with working a 9 to 5 job. And so you hear a lot of the same types of things in these videos. You hear like four main things that people tend to say, right? They hate not having any control over their own time. They hate their bosses. They hate having to go to work and work for someone else and basically build wealth and income for a company or a person, and they take home pennies, right? They don't feel totally compensated or fully compensated or fairly compensated. Working conditions are horrible. Maybe they don't have private space. They work out of a little cubicle or they share a cubicle with somebody. Um, you hear the same types of things, I feel like, in some way or another, with the "I hate my 9 to 5 job" videos. And while I understand I had a little piece of my hat hanging out there. Get it right, get it right. While I understand where these people are coming from, I have definitely had my share of those 9 to 5 jobs over the years. I've had some pretty crappy jobs over the years, so I feel the pain. I understand the pain. And I wanna make a little bit of a different, um or have a different conversation with y'all today because I am not at that point in my life where I hate my 9 to 5 job. In fact, I don't even have a 9 to 5 job in the same way that most folks think about a 9 to 5 job. So, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about four reasons why I really love my 9 to 5 job. Okay. So the first reason, like I said in a few seconds ago, I don't have a traditional 9 to 5 job. Okay. So I do have days where I work 9 to 5 or maybe 9 to 4, but that is not an everyday thing for me. So it is sort of a 9 to 5 job when I do go in to perform my work duties, but I don't go in to perform my work duties more than a couple times a week. And some weeks I don't go in at all to perform my work duties. I work from right here at the house in my home office or in my backyard or wherever I want to work. Okay. And so that would be um, something that I would encourage folks to think about instead of kind of, just thinking, I hate my 9 to 5 job. It's a lifestyle that I don't like. Look into what options there are for you to perform remote work. I'm sure a lot of people are looking into those options. I think COVID really set some of that standard for a lot of people where it created a lot of opportunities for remote work, and they're still out there. So look for some of those opportunities for remote work because even if you get a job or a position where you work remotely a couple days a week and you're in the office a few times a week, it can make all the difference in terms of how you feel about your job, right? You're not there 9 to 5 every single day. You get some time at home to um, wear sweats and do whatever else you need to do while also performing work, right? You let your hair down. Um, and all that stuff. So anyway, that's the one of the reasons, number 4, let's call it number 4 reason why I love my 9 to 5 job, okay? Because I'm not in nobody's office every day 9 to 5. I just don't have to do that. And so, not to be braggadocious or anything, but some opportunities are out there for you if you think about it that way. Be open to looking for some kind of flexible job or 100% remote job. Before this position that I have now, I worked for another institution where I was 100% remote, and I loved that too. Um, and so there are opportunities out there. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. So the next reason I love my 9 to 5 job is I don't have a lot of supervision hovering over me all the time. And so I know that is probably going to be seen by some people as coming from a place of privilege or whatever that is. But I think I've worked hard to be in a place like this in my life. And so I encourage folks to also um, see what you can do to kind of navigate towards a position where the position doesn't require a lot of supervision, or you find that space at a particular company or organization where they value employee independence and they value employee expertise, and they don't have to constantly hover over their employees and micromanage, right? That's a word that people like to throw around all the time, micromanage. And so sometimes it can just be a matter of finding the right fit, okay? Or even just the right position um, at your interview. When you are looking for positions, you should be asking about those things if that's something that is important to you. And one of the reasons why you hate that traditional 9 to 5 job, you should be asking, what is the supervision style that I need to expect? What Tell me about how you typically monitor your employees or your workers' activity on a day-to-day basis. And most people are going to be pretty straightforward with you. If there's a hiring manager on that interview panel, they're going to be straightforward with you and tell you, well, this is what I like to do. I like to check in every morning and every afternoon before it's time to sign off. Or I typically schedule meetings with you maybe once a month to see what's going on with the projects that you're working on and things like that, which is what uh, I enjoy right now. I'm sorry, I had to pause and regulate a little bit up in here because my boys have their desk and computers set up right outside of my room in the little den area, and they get a little bit too passionate about their game and gaming experience, and Jediah was getting a little bit too loud. So I had to pause before it got a little bit uh, or more out of control than it was already uh, happening. But anyway, so where was I? I was wrapping up the second reason, or call it number 3 reason why I love my 9 to 5, and that was the supervision style that um, I don't have to worry about being micromanaged. I'm valued as an employee who actually has a task and completes task and can be responsible enough and trusted enough to do what I need to do without folks hovering over me, right? And so I was saying that, you know, when you're looking for jobs and you're looking for um, the right fit and you're going on interviews, make that an interview question. When they ask at the end of the interview, I've been on a lot of interview panels, and we typically ask, do you have any questions for us? They leave time to answer questions that you might have as a job candidate. And so one of my favorite questions is, can you let me know what to expect from a typical style of supervision here? Or if you're the hiring manager is on the panel, you can talk to that person directly and ask them about how they like to provide oversight for their employees. And so some people, I do know some folks, I've supervised some folks in the past where they like a lot of oversight. I don't know, but they like it, and I love it if that's what they like. I didn't love it because I'm not one of those people as a supervisor. I was a supervisor temporarily, um, for a little spurt of time in the past, and I didn't that was not me to micromanage folks. I think folks are grown, and I think you got hired for a position, and you know what you should be doing, and I should be helping you problem solve and coaching if needed, not checking in and making sure you're doing what you need to do because I got stuff to do too, right? In my job role. So, anyway, ask those questions during interviews. Read the job descriptions thoroughly. Ask other people that work there that you might know, or jump on LinkedIn or other places that you can access folks who already work there and see if you have a few minutes of their time to check in about what you might expect as a potential candidate for this position that you're thinking about applying for. So those are my tips there as far as that number 3 reason why I love my 9 to 5, right? And maybe some ideas on how to get to that point where you have a 9 to 5 that you just don't hate because supervision is an issue. And I know it can be for a lot of people. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. So my number 2 reason why I love my 9 to 5 is I get to harness my creativity. I get to harness my creativity. So this is also about fit, okay? Now, I've been at places where I felt stagnated. I felt like my skills and expertise was not being utilized to its fullest. I felt like I was just regurgitating policy, which for anybody who has a brain and who can think can regurgitate policy. And so I didn't want to do that. I felt brain dead. Uh, and so I ended up um, so I've been at those jobs. I've been at those jobs where I felt like, it was just policy, policy, policy. And I was there to just be like a police officer or a security guard as it related to policy, right? I managed policy. I made sure people were enforcing, or I made sure that policy was being enforced and people were practicing policy in the right way or applying policy in the right way. And that was just not I mean, I did it for as long as I could do it, and then I figured out, Imma get kinda silly and a little bit brain dead doing this every single day for years and years. I needed to be able to flourish. I needed to be able to use my brain. I needed to be able to use the other side of my brain, right? I'm left-handed anyway, right? So they say left-handed people um, are more creative and imaginative and things like that. And I think I really am. And I need to be able to apply that creativity to the work that I do. Not every day, not all the time, but at least sometimes. And I want people to listen to what I have to say when it comes to thinking outside the box or problem solving and, adding other layers to practices that are already in place that maybe were never considered. And so I feel like I have that now. I have that now, y'all. And that's one of the reasons why third reason why or second reason, I'm sorry, why I love my 9 to 5 right now, or my so-called 9 to 5, okay? I get to develop new practices, new procedures. People listen to me. People invite me to the table to have conversations that need to happen, to add perspective, diverse perspective, opinions based on what I am bringing to the organization from my past experiences and education. And so it feels so good to be on that side of the fence, right? Where people turn to you and lift you up into spaces where you can be heard and valued and appreciated. And so I love that about my 9 to 5. And once again, this is about fit, right? If you're one of those people who are like me and you need to feel valued in terms of the creativity that you can bring to the table, you want to add some extra oomph to what's already happening at your place of work or maybe not happening. If you need that, go find it. Go find it. Right? So, another great interview question to bring to the panel when they ask you if you have questions for them. Ask them, how do you welcome creativity in this job role? What opportunities for enhancement and development might I have in this position and how it could add more to the organization? Right? Asking questions in that way, or those types of questions to get a feel for whether or not it's welcomed. And then the job description should also give you some insight as to how much of that is welcomed, right? Is there a forum for it? Do you have to build the forum yourself? Who's going to be behind you as you build that forum? Okay. So that's my reason number two, right? That I am able to bring my creativity to my organization and my job role. And I love that. I love that. And my number one reason is, now I know some people will tell me there is no such thing as work, family, life balance. I've heard that a lot of times. And while I do share some of those same sentiments, I also know that I've experienced being in positions where I've enjoyed some of the work life balance, and I'm currently in one of those positions. Now, what do I mean by work life balance? It means that there is no overrepresentation of me in one place or the other. So I'm not spending more time at work than I am in my own personal life, right? So, some of those jobs where, I mean, I had one of those jobs once upon a time, and it took me a year to make the transition out because I remember I was waking up and going to work when my kids were sleeping, right? They were babies at the time, not babies, but toddlers. And I was getting home and they had already been asleep for like 4 hours, right? So, how much time was I spending at work or trying to get work done or get to work or get home? There was not, I mean, that was not an even balance or a balance at all. I had little time for anything else other than work. And then when I went to sleep, I was dreaming about work, right? Because I've been at work so darn long, all day long, to where I'm dreaming about work. I'm supposed to be sleeping. I'm listening to, cases and all kinds of stuff in my head, in my dreams. It's seeping into my dreams and becoming nightmares and all kinds of stuff. So I can't get away from it and have a rest when I'm asleep. I sure can't get away from it and have rest when I'm awake. And it was not sustainable in the long term. It's not sustainable at all. And so now I can say I have that work life balance and I've had it for a while. This is not the first position where I've had it. I've had it in other positions as well. And it feels good and it helps with your feelings about your 9 to 5. When you have a CEO or a director who says, you know what, family first, health first, work next, it makes a difference. And when they are able to model that idea to you, that's even better. that they can actually, if they're sick, that they don't show up to work sick. They take time to get better, or they transition to a work from home day, right? If it's something that's crucial that they be present for, that they maybe do it remotely. But better yet, they just make sure they take time for themselves to get better, to be present when they finally come back. That they're modeling that for the folks that they work for, not work for them, right? That's part of that work-life balance. The other part of work-life balance that I don't think people usually consider is the fact that I get to bring my whole self to work and not just my performative self to work. So I'm not talking about disclosure. I'm not talking about bringing all my baggage and having therapy sessions at work and bringing the kids to work if I need a babysitter like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that I can show up, and if something is not resonating with me or something is not landing for me, that I can say that. And the fact that I can say that my lived experiences in a Black body, right, as a Black African American woman, tells me that this conversation does not feel right. Can we circle back for a minute so that I can make sure that we address this or that, or right, that we consider other people's experiences, right, that I can actually say things like that. So I think of things like that as work life balance as well, because I'm bringing what I know from my own life into the equation as well to be considered, right? And that I'm not always operating in the space of performing this job role that negates everything else about me that is also equally important. Actually, it's something that I can't even dispose of as I bring myself to work, right? Because it's part of how I show up. It's part of how I show up. That I can tell my stories in the classroom, right? Because I train and I'm an educator and a trainer. That I can tell my stories in the classroom and it's valued and welcomed as part of the learning process. That's also work life balance too, right? That I don't have to separate out these different parts of me, right? And do all that mental work and think about, well, what fits and what doesn't, and all of that weird kind of toggling back and forth. Am I making sense? What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that um, spin on work life balance? Because I don't think people tend to talk about it in that way. I've never heard it presented in that way, but it makes me think about it in that way when I hear the term work life balance. It's also about how do we balance how much of the work is taken over in our day to day and the life part is taken over, right? Like, how do we balance an equal representation of the two? So, anyway, curious to hear what folks think. Um, that's just something that I think about. But that's my number one reason why I love my 9 to 5 is because I don't have to do that hard, messy work, right? Of trying to figure out who I need to be in certain spaces. And that if I do need to take time, when I need to take time to make sure that I am a mom, a wife, a daughter, a friend, or just a friend to myself, when I need to take that time, that I can do so without feeling guilty. I can also do so and know that my folks that I work with on my team, they are going to take care of what they need to take care of in my absence. I don't have to bend over backwards to make sure folks are prepared. I don't have to carry all that weight, right? If I need to take time away, I got to take time away, and I don't need to be worrying about, well, are they competent, or do they have what they need, that they have a system in place and it's set up in a way where I can walk away freely without thinking about all those things. That's work life balance. I'm not penalized for taking time away when I need it, right? So find something and somewhere where, if that's something that's important to you, that shares those same values. And I don't think every 9 to 5 is like some of my old ones where there was no work life balance. I don't think everywhere is like that, because I've worked for a couple places where it's different. It's different. Now, I will say the two places that I've worked for, right, current and former organizations, have been female headed organizations, which I feel like maybe it's made a difference, because I haven't had this experience at other places where the organizations were not female headed. So I think maybe there's a different type of appreciation for, you know, things that we got to take care of as individuals too, to make sure that we can show up at work the way that we need to, and serve, and give what we say we're given, right? When we take on the task. So anyway, those are my four reasons, um, why I love my 9 to 5. Let me know if any of them resonate with you. Let me know what folks think. I feel like sometimes it's nice to think about some of the um, the positive things that we have around us and happening for us and with us, and not just stay in that place of, oh, I want change, I want change. And sometimes we have to start to look at some of the things that we have in place that are working for us. So I hope this served that purpose for you. Um, Giving you a little bit of positive energy and maybe some encouragement to find a place that, you can call your tribe. Find folks that you can call your tribe, where the fit is tight, right? The fit is tight, because it's out there. It's out there. I promise, it's out there. It's just it may take a little bit of work and a little bit of stepping outside of your comfort zone to embrace maybe a move that's needed, or maybe a conversation that needs to happen at the job interview, so you could even carefully assess, right? All right, so I'm gonna stop. I'll see y'all later. Bye.